Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something huge, the future of money itself. We're talking about a world where your bank account could be held directly by the government and where every single dollar you spend, well, it could be programmed. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so just picture this for a second. The government sends out a stimulus check, right? But there's a catch. This isn't just regular money. It's programmed to literally disappear if you don't spend it within, say, a month. Now, that might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's not. It's actually the core idea behind a technology that nearly every major government on the planet is working on right now. It's called a central bank digital currency, or a CBDC for short.
So, before we really get into how wild the CBDC stuff could get, we need to take a quick step back. Let's just do a super quick refresher on the three basic jobs that any money, has to do. You know, the stuff we all kind of take for granted.
Right, so first, it's got to be a medium of exchange. You use it to buy stuff. Simple. Second, it needs to be a store of value, meaning you can save it for later. And third, it's a unit of account, so we all agree on what things are worth. Now, keep that second one, store of value, in mind, because as we're about to see, the whole programmable part of a CBDC could completely flip that idea on its head.
All right, and speaking of money, in today's world, there's one currency that is undeniably king, the US dollar. And you really have to get a handle on the dollar's special power to understand why so many other countries are now in this massive race to build their own digital alternative.
So for a long time, the dollar has been what's called the world's reserve currency. What does that mean? Basically, it's the default money for international trade. Everyone needs it. Everyone holds it. And this creates this constant, massive global demand for dollars, which gives the US this incredible advantage. It lets us borrow more cheaply and gives us huge economic leverage. It's a power that was famously called America's exorbitant privilege.
And this quote from economist Barry Eichengreen just nails it. He pointed out that it costs the US just a few cents to print a $100 bill. But for any other country to get that same bill, they have to hand over $100 worth of actual, real stuff. Goods, resources. It's a pretty wild imbalance, and you can see why a lot of countries are now looking for a way out of that system.
And that's where we are today. That challenge, that pushback, it's taking shape in a brand new, powerful digital form. We are now in a full-blown global race with central banks all over the world scrambling to create their own official digital money.
So, what exactly is a CBDC? Well, think about the money in your bank account or your Venmo. That's technically a liability of a private company, right? It's a promise from your bank. A CBDC is totally different. It would be a direct claim on the central bank, on the government itself. It's the digital equivalent of a crisp dollar bill in your hand.
Okay, but why is this happening now? Why this sudden global rush? Well, it's kind of a perfect storm. Get this, over 86% of the world's central banks are looking into this stuff. You've got the use of physical cash just plummeting in some places. You've got the rise of private cryptocurrencies and big tech projects trying to create their own money. And then, as we all saw during the pandemic, there's this urgent need to get money to people faster in a crisis. All of these things are pushing governments to act.
Now, we have to be super clear on this next point, because it's where a lot of people get confused. A CBDC is, well, it's pretty much the exact opposite of something like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is all about decentralization, right? No single entity in charge. A CBDC, it's the ultimate in centralization. It's designed for maximum government control, issued and backed directly by a central bank. They're two completely different animals.
So let's really drill down on this. How is this different from the digital money you already use in your banking app? It's a huge difference. The number you see in your bank account today, that's a promise from your commercial bank. It's their liability. A CBDC would be a direct liability of the central bank. That makes it as safe as physical cash. It's completely independent of how healthy your local bank is. You know all that fear about bank runs we've seen recently? With a CBDC, that specific risk, it just vanishes.
Okay, so this is a fundamental shift in how money works, and it puts a ton of new power into the hands of governments. And that creates this, well, it's a fascinating and maybe even a little frightening set of trade-offs that we all need to think about.
So let's look at the balance sheet here. On the one hand, you have some amazing opportunities. Think about hyper-efficient stimulus payments or a brand new powerful tool to fight money laundering. But on the other hand, well, there are some pretty big challenges. We're talking about major concerns around financial privacy, since every transaction could be traceable. And You're looking at a future where traditional banks, their whole role, could be turned upside down.
So what could this actually mean for you, for your wallet, and for the bank on the corner? Let's kind of walk through how the entire financial system could get a massive redesign.
Right now, the system we all use is kind of like a waterfall. The central bank is at the very top, creating the money. Then, that money flows down through commercial banks, your Chase, your Bank of America. They're the middlemen. You and I, we're at the very bottom. We can't have an account directly with the central bank.
But a CBDC could change that completely. It could create a direct pipeline, a straight shot from you to the central bank. This is what people mean when they talk about disintermediation. It's a world where those retail banks might not be needed anymore, at least not for holding your basic savings.
And this whole transformation, it's not just happening in some government lab somewhere, it's being driven by some really big global players. You've got institutions like the Bank for International Settlements, which is basically the central bank for central banks, and they're setting the rules of the road. And then you have private tech companies like Ripple, who are all competing to build the actual plumbing for this new financial world.
So, look, the conversation is no longer about if this is going to happen. It's really about when and how. And that leaves all of us with a really critical question to chew on. As we build this brand new world of money, what's the trade-off we're willing to make? More efficiency or less privacy? It's a huge question, and it's one we're all going to have to answer, probably sooner than we think.